Welcome to Unit 2, Lesson 2. This is our Read Aloud, and you want to make sure that you have Activity Book page 2.2 out in front of you, and you're going to need that on one of the slides. You're going to listen to a passage that I read to you, and then you're going to complete that Activity Book page. So here we go. Read aloud for Lesson 2. Aha! I'm back! Does anyone remember me? It's me, Rattenbertle, animal expert and world traveler. We've explored lots of animal habitats together, haven't we? From hot savannas to cold Arctic regions, we've watched hungry carnivores eat their prey with very sharp teeth, while herbivores feast on grasses nearby. Today, I've got great fun in store for you. I'm going to present a slideshow. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you a little about how scientists understand animals. Think about all of the different types of animals on Earth. Grasshoppers, penguins, rabbits, lions, salmon, turtles, and salamanders are just a few. What other animals can you name? Wow, you know lots of animals. How do you tell them apart? How do you recognize or identify them? One way that we make sense of our world is by sorting things into categories or groups. Look closely at these pictures of a salamander and a squirrel and notice their characteristics. Can you name any ways that a salamander and a squirrel are alike? How are they different? What other characteristics can you think of to help sort animals into categories? This is where I would like you to get out Activity Book page 2.2, and you're actually going to be on the back side of that paper, page 22. And I want you to listen to the passage I'm going to read you. And as I'm reading, I want you to think about question number 1, why did the author write this passage? And number 2, is the author trying to answer, explain, or describe? And explain your answer. Use some proof of the things that you heard. So listen carefully. In the mid-1700s, about 250 years ago, a Swedish man named Carolus Linnaeus became fascinated by the many different ways that people all over the world were grouping animals. Some people grouped animals by how they looked. Others grouped them by their habits, and still others by where animals lived. It was all a great mumbo jumbo. So Linnaeus decided to use their ideas to create a worldwide system to classify or group animals based on their shared characteristics. This science of classifying organisms is called taxonomy. Using new ideas and tools, scientists have continued to study organisms and the ways they are similar and different. Over time, ideas about how to classify animals have changed somewhat. So for question number 1, I want you to write down, why did the author write this passage? What are they telling us about? And number 2, is the author trying to answer, explain, or describe something to us? Stop the video, fill in your activity book page 2.2, and then come on back to continue. Scientists currently recognize 3 groups of living organisms based on important parts within their cells. Scientists generally agree that these groups of organisms are then divided into kingdoms, the main groups into which all living organisms have been further classified. Plants and animals are the 2 kingdoms that I know most about, and today I'm here to talk to you about my favorite one. That's right, the animal kingdom. Taxonomists identify animals by their characteristics or special features that set them apart from others. They divide the 5 animal kingdoms into smaller and smaller groups, with each smaller group having more and more in common with one another. Each group has a specific name. For example, you and I not only belong to the same kingdom, the animal kingdom, but we both belong to the same phylum, the phylum known as Chordata, because we share similar body characteristics. Most animals in the phylum Chordata are vertebrates. A vertebrate has a backbone. Do you have a backbone? Yes, you do, and so do I. That is one of our common characteristics, one of the ways that scientists group us to show relationships between us. My backbone is smaller than yours because I'm much smaller. Rattenborough is much smaller. But if you look closely at this image, you can see how similar the bones are. Vertebrates belong to the animal kingdom and are in the phylum Chordata. This phylum is divided into even more groups called classes. A class is divided into smaller groups called orders. An order is divided into smaller groups called families. A family is divided into smaller groups, each called genus. And a genus is divided into even smaller groups called species. There are many, many species within each group. Just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Now that you know that a vertebrate is an animal with a backbone, what do you think an invertebrate is? Yes, that's correct. An invertebrate is an animal with no backbone. A little more than 95% of all animals on Earth are invertebrates. Think about it. More than 95% of all the species of animals on Earth are invertebrates. That's a lot. And most of them are fairly small. Fewer than 5% of all animal species are vertebrates. That means that you and I and all vertebrates belong to a very small percentage of all the animals on Earth. Mammals, that includes all humans, are literally just a speck